Lou, I think this is Bill's phylactery. It's got something in it.
That's a paint can. Bill keeps his nails and stuff in those. Put it down before you drop it.
That's fine. Uh-oh.
What's all that racket?
Dude, was that you?
No.
Gather your garlic and silver bullets, adventurers. It's Find Your Fantasy, Dark Fantasy, this week on the Dungeon Master's Dojo.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dungeon Master's Dojo podcast. This is a show for game masters and players alike. We hope to bring you tips and tricks to elevate your game and develop the art of dungeon mastery. I'm your host, Louis Aponte, and these are your dungeon masters, Scott Labby and Bill Robotile. Let's enter the dojo and see what they have in store for us today. Did you put those back, Scott? Bill's about to come in.
I brushed all the screws underneath his work.
I need to talk to you guys. Who was in my shed?
That was Scott. It sounded like
It was
a girl.
the dog.
He saw a mouse.
The dog was in there, and I went to go.
hellhound?
I went to go get the dog. I accidentally stepped on his paw, and he made that girly screaming noise.
He's talking about Levi.
Yeah, it's fine.
I expect somebody to go in there and pick up the mess.
There's no mess.
Why is there a paint can on the floor with a bunch of washers all over?
I don't know.
Don't look at me. I wasn't there.
You know, Lou doesn't pick up after himself.
I have you for that.
You know, next time I got to fix a drawbridge and I can't find any washers, I know who to blame.
Scott.
Lou, the dog.
The dog.
The dog.
Levi is short for Leviticus. That's a proper hellhound name.
Dark fantasy.
Yes, it's cool. I like dark fantasy. It's fun to visit a dark fantasy setting, especially around Halloween. Our gaming group tries to do that every year in October. Whether it's your homebrew setting, one shot for Halloween, or a visit to Strahd's Barovia, dark fantasy can be a frightening yet enjoyable adventure.
Dark fantasy is a fantasy setting with elements of horror.
Yes.
The way you screamed just a few minutes ago.
That was not me. That was somebody else. The neighbor.
See,
I mean,
I
the
told you
dog.
it was him
The
because
dog-
he
we
just blamed
stepped
it on
on
the
the dog's
dog,
paw.
and now he's saying it's not him. He forgot his lie.
It was the neighbor.
It's because he's scared.
Yeah, but when the dog farts, it's really him.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, a dark fantasy, it's right. You're still in a fantasy setting. You know, you're not fully immersed in a horror setting, but there are elements of horror that are
Not all
present.
rainbow and sprinkles.
It is not.
Better not be.
Nor should it be, because if it is, then you have left dark fantasy and gone into something else.
Twisted,
Yes.
not horror.
Yeah, and when we're engaging in like a dark fantasy type setting, it's always good to have a discussion during a session zero or a hey, by the way, we're doing our annual Halloween thing this year. Does anybody have anything that could be triggering or upsetting or whatever have you? Is there anything that's off limits, and be respectful of that? We say that quite a bit, but, it's something that you really...
Someone might have a genuine fear of clowns.
Yeah.
And actually talk. I mean, it's a real thing.
I mean, but granted, if they did, they wouldn't be playing with us.
This is
we're
true.
Nothing but a bunch of clowns. But still, yeah, a genuine fear, not something that's just, chilling in the moment, but something that's very triggering. Clowns could be scary.
Clowns could be scary. Zombies could be scary.
Zombies.
Undead of all kinds. You never know what sets people off.
Yeah.
And it's a good idea to ask them, all right, this is the kind of premise. Is there something in this genre that really, truly makes you uncomfortable? Because you don't want to really put your players in that situation, because then they're just going to stop coming.
Yeah, what's off
Some
limits?
wouldn't even play. I know there's some guys
so-
that have phobias to spiders. Not our guys, but there's people
Yeah.
out there with phobias
Yeah.
to spiders.
Well, claustrophobia, you're talking about, sealed in coffins or a mausoleum or something. Yeah, there's a lot of different things. Death is one of those subjects a lot of people just don't want to talk about. And let's face it, in a dark fantasy,
It's all over the place.
it's all over the
Yeah.
place. Death, undeath, that the whole supernatural, that's around that. So it's a good idea to just kind of, test the waters a little bit. And all right, guys, is there somewheres that we really should not go?
So let's talk about your heroes are likely going to be anti-heroes.
Yeah, they're not going to, or I think they shouldn't be.
They should be a little dark.
They got to be as dark as the setting. They have to. This isn't a Superman, Captain America kind of campaign. This is more like Punisher Wolverine type of thing.
I can't play Dwayne the Enlightened
as
a paladin.
Not unless Dwayne's a little on the skeevy side and has loose morals. You got to figure where they came from, right? If you're growing up in a dark fantasy setting, D&D is a dangerous place to be anyway, right? If you look at it,
just being a farmer is a dangerous thing.
Yeah, something's going to try to eat you or kill you or, abduct you or something like that. So add dark fantasy elements to it. It makes it even more deadlier.
Well, you think about it, you're an adventurer. You're putting yourself in harm's way just going out. That's part of being an adventurer.
Yes.
You're putting yourself in harm's way. So that harm might be...
And you're doing this.
Yeah, that's just it.
You're not involuntary. I'm going to go take a stroll and whatever happens, happens. No, as an adventurer,
You're
looking for trouble.
Shit's going to happen.
Yeah, in most cases.
Yes.
In most cases. You get someone like Bilbo who got dragged into it. But, that's... Even still, he was told ahead of time, this is what's going to happen. This is the possibilities. And it was vague, but it was still there.
Yep. So,
as an adventurer, you're putting yourself in harm's way. So you have to be expectant of this. And people putting themselves in harm's way in a dark fantasy probably came from a dark beginning.
You're going to be hardened.
Yeah. Or you've been at it a while. You may have started the innocent, but you are no longer the innocent.
No, that kind of brings us to our next point is bad things are going to happen to good people.
Yeah.
And it's going to be by your hand sometimes.
You may have to let the village burn and the people be destroyed, devoured, whatever have you, to preserve your own life or to continue whatever mission that you're on. You have to make those hard choices.
Well, I look at it this way. Heroes cannot do everything. Something is always going to fall through.
Yeah.
You do the best you can, but you can't save everyone.
Right.
Well, it might be a point where you absolutely cannot. What if the encounter is dictated where the only time your nemesis appears is if someone's sacrificed? Well, now there's an innocent on the altar. Do you save the innocent? Because if you keep doing that, you'll never get to your goal.
Right.
So the innocent has to die for the big bad to appear, for you to engage the big bad and do away with it so no one else has to die. But in the meantime, the person on that altar has to die, and you can't stop it.
Well, it even go one step further. Because of that, I would say there's 5 people in a party, but there's 6 altars.
Yeah.
So which one do you do?
Or 4 altars.
Yeah, you have to let 1 or 2 go because you can't be in every place at one time.
Yep.
So, you put that moral quandary in there, because in my mind, if I'm stopping you from, it's only 1 altar that you're working at, I can keep that bad guy away. But now if there's 4 of us and 6 altars, 6 sacrifices happen at the same time, all within about a mile from each other.
Yeah.
Which 2 are you going to let go? Or how do you do that?
Or it could just be, in a circle that is as large as a football field.
Yep.
Well, there's no way you're going to be able to get to the other side or influence the other side while you're trying to save that person who is being sacrificed by someone which probably has a weapon or spells or something like that. You have to combat them and try to do it expeditiously so you can get to possibly
and safely.
Or the other side is there's 5 of you and there's 4 there's 5 of you and 4 altars, and the only way out is through the altars. Someone in your party has to be sacrificed.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be the one that steps up and goes, I don't mind dying today.
Yeah. There's 1 altar.
Yeah.
Yep. And we got to sacrifice someone. Who's going?
Yep.
Roll the dice. The lowest one loses. That would be me every time. But that, that's
there's different scenarios you can go about it where
sacrificing your own party member. I mean, that's as dark as dark can be, because they may be like, fuck that, I don't want to go. And then now we've
done that once.
Yeah.
While it wasn't dark, that moment became dark. when Mullif sacrificed himself. That probably was the darkest time where I seen that happen. I was not happy with Bill or Scott.
In my table, it was evident that someone had to reach into this contraption to open the door to progress because they were caught there.
Yep.
And they had to move forward. They couldn't move back. And it looked fairly obvious that whoever reached into here,
that's right,
something bad is going to happen. And I lopped off Andrew's character's arm.
That's right. I remember that.
And he that's the way, I mean, it got he moved forward.
Yeah.
It was magically sealed immediately, but he lost his arm, felt the pain, everything. But it became obvious that this is going to be a dismemberment. I didn't really mask it.
Right.
Someone had to, okay, I'll do it. Someone had to do it. And you see several of the players balking.
Yeah.
Especially your spellcasters going, oh, wait a minute.
But yeah, that's probably one of the, that's something where something bad happens to somebody good.
Yeah.
Or when Higurdine was captured and we found him and he was all mutated and experimented on, and Cal tried to save him, but he threw himself into this pit
because he was an abomination and he knew it.
Yep.
And I'm still upset about
the presence of the party gave him that momentary glimpse of
freedom, I think.
Well, a revelation of what he's become and where he's going and his way out.
Yep.
And his way out was to basically throw himself down into the pit. That at the bottom had an open pool of magma. So if the fall didn't get him, the molten rock did.
And that was a surprise. Everything about it was a huge surprise.
I don't think anybody saw it coming.
No.
I know you didn't.
And that was dark. That was dark, and I found it upsetting because I was attached to Matt's character.
It was the first time I saw you get wet-eyed, I'll call it.
Well, as he was following you here, I love you, Cal.
Yes.
It still sucks.
So yeah, bad things happen to good people, and it might be your party members. In our group, it oftenly is. It might be the people around you, and you can't stop it or shouldn't stop it.
But you go into that, as a player wanting that kind of emotional roller coaster ride, right? Isn't that why you play an RPG like D&D or any of those other tabletop RPGs?
I would hope so.
You want something more than just, I'm gonna cross swords with some bad guys and see some spells. Sure, that's cool stuff, but where's the meat?
Yeah. I beat him up. I killed him. Where's the loot? Next room.
Yeah,
I think that's like the next evolution in your gaming lifestyle, because in the beginning, that's all you want is to cross swords.
Yeah.
But now you want a little bit more, I'll call it meat on the bones, more thrill with the ride of the game. And I think that's where, when you start doing that, you're evolving as a player and as a GM, because you're, guiding this through the game world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think if, when you're sitting at the table and you're having your light moments where you're laughing, and there's funny stuff happening, and then there's some dramatic things happening, and loss and victory, and you're up and down and up and down and up and down. Like you've now crafted a good collaborative story, and it's only going to get better from there in your your gaming experience.
Yeah, that kind of moves us to, we know that there's going to be disparity and hopelessness at times in the game.
It should be in your dark fantasy.
Well, like I said, you'll be sitting around the table and enjoying a drink and laughing, and the next moment, death, mayhem, and the world coming to an end is moments later. And maybe someone got really hurt, and yes, okay, they were brought back, great. Or maybe someone did die, and you can't bring them back. But then you beat the bad guy, and now there's adulations everywhere, and everyone's riding the high until you remember, there was a cost, and there's that roller coaster, and you need to have those lighter moments to bracket the dark moments, and vice versa to get that roll. You can't have the highs without any lows, otherwise you're just on a flat track. Yeah. And it help, and bracketing them like that makes the high points seem higher and the low points seem lower.
For me, one of my low points in the game is, again, when Mullif sacrificed himself. To me, that was as low as I didn't think it could get any worse. I was ready to... Let's take a moment to talk about our sponsor.
What if I were to tell you that I can put a team of professional writers alongside you at your desk while you're prepping your game? Sounds pretty good, huh? With Describe, we can do just that. These narratives vividly describe monsters, places, spells, people, you name it. It's there, and there are more than 6,000 of these easy-to-search up, copy, and pastable, beautifully written narratives right at your fingertips. Describe has graciously provided us with a discount for our listeners. Head on over to describe.com/DMD. Use the code DMD at checkout to try Describe for 2 weeks for free. Links will be in the show notes.
And now, back to the show.
To almost, not as a player, but as a character, give up because I'm losing my friends now.
Yep.
You know, I knew I lost you. I didn't know anything about Lynn or the other ones yet.
Right.
So when I started hearing or gathering this, it was like the lowest point of my game life. I was like, oh my God, all my friends are really dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was impactful.
Yes.
You know, Mullif died the way he should have. You know, being a religious zealot and, you know, self-sacrifice and all that stuff. And Len died the way he should have too, just being alone, you know, and enduring a terrible death, being like ripped apart by flying demon things. And it was, you know, there was some disparity and hopelessness left. But even when we wrapped it up, where we did the narrative on Rumblebelly dying like an old man with none of his friends left.
Yeah, that was alone at that point.
Yeah. It was still pretty bleak. I mean, it got a little brighter.
Right.
But there's going to be in a dark fantasy disparity and hopelessness. You know, there's going to be families that are used to losing children at a very young age. There's going to be single parents from losing a partner to disease or, you know, some
War.
animal or
Yeah,
war, you know, premature death. People are going to look perpetually tired because no matter how sturdy your home is, you're going to be able to keep a werewolf out or vampire, you know, so they're always going to be on high alert. The smallest creak will get them up. There's PTSD is going to be rampant.
Everyone carries
like
an implement. It might just be a hoe or a shovel, but everyone has something that they can use as some kind of weapon, even if they know it's a feeble attempt.
It's gonna look like one of my friend's grandma's houses. She was an elderly Hispanic woman, and there was Jesus on the cross in every room. You know, there's going to be holy symbols everywhere. You know, on their person. You know, either with jewelry or decorating the wall or tattooed on them. There's going to be a lot of holy symbols everywhere, hoping, you know, that it'll prevent the wickedness from kind of creeping in to their home or their village or their town or whatever have you.
And that kind of, you know, brings us to, you know, the setting is often dark, bleak, and in a dystopia fashion.
Yeah, it's going to be quite literally sometimes it'll be dark, right?
Yeah.
It'll be hazy or foggy, or there's not going to be a lot of sunshine.
Even if there is, there's no vivid colors.
Well, yeah, look at Strahd's realm.
Right. But I mean, even if the sun is out, there's lots of browns and grays and blacks. Everything looks like it's dying. Everything looks charred. Everything moldy or old or decrepit. I mean, just nothing seems to be vibrant, even in the brightest of the daylight. So it's like, yeah, it's a beautiful sky until you look down, and nothing looks good. Nothing looks healthy. Nothing looks like it's everything looks like it's in the brink of death.
Oh, that would for me, it would like, what the hell's going on? You know, I'm losing faith in everything because I know everything around me is dying.
Well, like I said, like I said, you turn around, you come look down, and okay, there's rocks and there's this and there's that. But as you get into the valley or the gorge or whatever, things are becoming sicker and sicker and sicker to the point where nothing looks like it's going to live the day. Plants, animals, people, everything's emaciated or looks sickly. and you just kind of like, okay, what the hell?
Yeah, I would see when you start talking like that, I start thinking WOD or World of Darkness.
Yeah, yeah.
I often see like a dark fantasy setting, much like a monster movie from Universal Studios back in like the 50s or 60s.
I was about to say, I see it more
You know, where
towards
it's
the
black
Victorian
and-
era.
Yeah,
black
yeah.
and white.
Yay, Harryhausen.
Yeah. God bless Ray Harryhausen.
Yeah.
But black and white.
Yeah.
Blacks, whites, grays, just like watching those movies. And I think they're really good inspiration for someone that wants to do a dark fantasy, or even particularly like Journey to Barovia or any of the other domains of dread. Watch those movies and see how they're done, you know, with the monster reveal not necessarily happening early on, but build up to that suspense.
Even something like Penny Dreadful.
Penny, that was one of my favorite
very,
TV
very,
shows.
very good series.
And I'm thinking of a movie, and I can't remember the name of it, but it had like, it was, the colors in it were really like subdued, except for like, I think the blood. I think the blood was a vibrant red. It was a graphic novel, and I wanted to say
Sin City.
Exactly. Yep. Sin City kind of color scheme and stylized look, I think would be perfect.
Yeah, the
for,
blood was very. There was little hints of color in there, and to frame the fact that, all right, the bad guy is in that putrid green and yellow, and the hot girl's got the bright red lipstick, and so yeah, it just a little flash of color here and there to accentuate the point, but for the most part, it's all black, white, and gray. Very well done.
Yeah, it was, and Frodo Baggins was super creepy in it. He was. I was like, this dude is like
Yeah, he was
creepy. But those are all like good things. Get your inspiration from like movies and TV shows and stuff like that.
That's some of the greatest places.
Yeah.
and someone else did all the work.
Yeah. Well, it's no different than reading as Scott says, or Bill says, what do you call them?
Retail adventures.
Retail adventures.
Modules.
Call them modules back in the day.
You're still getting your inspiration for those. You didn't write it.
Nope.
Yeah.
You're actually getting your story from this. So it's no different than taking the plot, I won't say the plot, but the inspiration from a movie.
Hey, we've done an entire episode about where to find inspiration.
Yep.
Go listen to it.
It's way in the beginning.
It wasn't bad.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. I wouldn't kick it out of bed for eating crackers.
Uncomfortable silence. And that's Find Your Fantasy, Dark Fantasy. We'll see you next time in the dojo.
That's going to conclude this episode. Thanks for tuning in and listening. Please subscribe to the podcast for more great content. If you'd like to hear a particular topic, you can reach us on Facebook at the Dungeon Masters Dojo, or you can drop us an email at thedungeonmastersdojo@gmail.com. Thank you, and have a good day.